All right, look around in the room here before we get started. These are the mycophiles. These are my people. These are probably your people. So take a look around. Take a look around. These are the cool people in the conference. So thank you all for coming to learn about something a little more esoteric than what we're mostly used to. My name is Brandon Quittem, and in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey through the parallels between network technologies and network organisms. And this will just be a microdose of these ideas. I've written about them at length. You can find them on my website or other places. And what I promise you is you will never look at Bitcoin the same, and you'll never look at fungi the same either. So first of all, why even explore the differences between biology and technology? Kind of a weird question. The first reason is because nature has already solved most of our design challenges. And nature is an engine that iterates and iterates and iterates. And so the best evolutionary strategies are still around today. And so if we tune our tools of observation and we observe nature appropriately, we will learn things. For example, the guy who invented Velcro noticed that his dog would come back with these little burrs after hiking in the woods. He put those under a microscope and he invented Velcro. The bullet train is invented off of the kingfisher's nose and beak shape, and wind turbines are from the the humpback whale fin. So they use the aerodynamics. And the next reason is because it is our duty, as far as I'm concerned, to understand technology and to choose to adopt the best technologies, because the best technologies that we adopt ultimately change us in the future. So choose the right ones. Of course, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. The father of public key cryptography, Ralph Merkle, he called Bitcoin a living organism in about 2015. And for my own personal Bitcoin journey, attempting to understand what Bitcoin was, I looked to the natural world, and I found the fungal kingdom to be the most illuminating on this journey. And I believe Bitcoin's best characteristics are simply evolutionary strategies found in nature. It's just mirrored here in a technological setting. So super quick Fungi 101, although most of you guys probably will know this stuff. Fungi have their own kingdom. So plants, animals, fungi, etc. And there's more fungi than plants and animals combined. It's an extremely diverse kingdom. And raise your hand if you ever liked beer, wine, chocolate, medicine, bread. Yeah, everyone. Thank your fungal allies for producing those for us. Let's see, the largest organism in the world is a honey mushroom. It's in eastern Oregon, and it's consuming an entire forest. It's thousands of years old. And these organisms have been around for billions of years, and the latest science is showing that underground, they form trade networks. They actually buy high and sell low. They hoard resources. They reward their favorite trading partners. And so underground, underneath our feet right now, there is a fungal economy happening. But out of sight, out of mind. Should you trust this guy standing up here? I'm not a mycologist, although thank you for those who confuse me as a mycologist. I'm just an amateur chasing down rabbit holes, just like Bitcoin. And it's my mission to orange pill all the mycophiles and also fungi pill all the Bitcoiners. So that's where you guys fit in. This is a picture of mycelium. And if you think about mushrooms, fungi, most people think of the mushroom. That's just the sexual reproductive organ. It's a temporary ephemeral organ, and its job is to reproduce. But most fungi, most of the time, are in this mycelial network form. It's a one-cell wall series of tubes. It sends resources and information bidirectionally. It grows, it evolves, it adapts. And when we compare this to Bitcoin, right, most people call this Earth's natural internet. I guess that's one place to start. And there's no CPU. There's no central brain here. It's a decentralized network and together it figures out where to reproduce. Do I eat this? Do I go that way? And the aggregate consensus of that network forms the organism. And this mirrors the intelligence that emerges out of the Bitcoin network, right? The nodes or the users, we select what software to run individually. Okay, the miners decide what transactions to append to the ledger. The exchanges, the people in the community, we shepherd our users, and the sum aggregate of that is what produces the network, and that's where the intelligence emerges. And this same decentralized network archetype has been around for billions of years. At the small scale, we can look at neurons. At the large scale, we can look at cosmology. And what this tells me is that decentralized network organism, it continually persists That type of emergent principle, because it keeps emerging, lets us believe that this is a good evolutionary strategy because Bitcoin mirrors that. And so it's my opinion that Bitcoin was inevitable. And with Mycelium, you can just cut the whole network in half. It will now form 2 networks, right? There's no brain, and there's no essential piece that's required. In the same way that there's no essential Bitcoin hardware, there's no CEO, there's no exchange that actually matters existentially to the network. And Satoshi understood this, right? All previous attempts to create a non-state money were shut down. Men with guns come to your door and say, turn it off. So Satoshi designed Bitcoin to resist this level attack. All right, let's bring in Taleb here, our favorite Bitcoiner. Fragile systems, they break as soon as chaos is introduced. An anti-fragile system actually gains from chaos. It learns, it adapts. And underground, mycelium and other bacteria and other microorganisms, they're competing in an incredibly dense crucible every single day under there. It's just a war. And let's tell a little story. So there's a fungal network underground, and some invader comes and attacks the network. What happens? Information travels through the mycelial network until the little mushroom scientists hear about the attack. Those little mushroom scientists, who are masters of chemistry, they produce a new custom enzyme, and they ship that enzyme over to where the attackers are, and they deal with the predator. And over time, this organism builds a chemical library of novel molecules, which it uses for itself to defend itself or to gain new territory. And Bitcoin plays the same game, okay? What if there's a bug or some vulnerability that we find in Bitcoin? Information travels through the informal network. Eventually, developers find it. They create a new software patch or enzyme, and they ship it through the network. We update. The system learns. The system gets stronger, and that attack in the future will be less successful. So whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Quick genetics lesson. Primarily, genes are passed down vertically. Mother, father reproduce. Genes are passed on to the offspring. Fungi do that, and they also have been known to perform horizontal gene transfer. So think of 2 fungal organisms in one ecosystem. One organism can steal genetic information from a competitor, and then the strategy is to use that genetic information to somehow outcompete in that environment. In the same way, Bitcoin can steal technological ideas that we find in other networks and other situations. If you're around in 2017, you maybe remember all those blockchains that were here for fast transactions. Bitcoin's too slow. And then Bitcoin builds a Lightning Network. All those chains are completely obsolete. Maybe Satoshi was a mycologist. Let's talk about ecology for a second. What role does fungi play in the ecosystem? One role is the immune system. So the mycorrhizal fungi, they connect between tree roots and they trade information. They store water droplets. They send medicine to trees all over the place to protect the forest. So they're sort of a guardian who is self-interested because they benefit from the trees, but they do play that immune system role. And Bitcoin's humanity's immune system in a way. It protects us from overreaching governments, cancerous central banks, and rent-seeking businesses. And it also creates a parallel system that cannot be corrupted. From a mining standpoint, let's take a look at fungi here. So the saprophytes are a type of fungus, and their role is to recycle organic material on our planet. So in a forest, the trees drop their leaves, the branches fall down. What happens? Fungi and other microbiology, they actually break down the leaves, the sticks, or dead animals into the base constituents of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, etc. And then fungi sell those resources back into the ecology. And in the same way, Bitcoin seeks out stranded energy assets. Think remote geothermal in the middle of Iceland where there's not enough demand nearby. Miners go there and they consume that otherwise wasted energy and convert it to sound money. So they're essentially liberating opportunities. Let's say a volcano erupts and wipes out all life on an island. It's just a dead rock in the middle of the ocean. Is it destined to be lifeless forever? No. There's a unique type of organism called a pioneer species whose role is to colonize these desolate landscapes. It's usually some sort of a fungus and a plant that come together, and they convert that rock into topsoil, and then shrubs come, and then trees come, and then all the animals come. And the same way Bitcoin miners bootstrap net new energy assets that otherwise wouldn't get funded. And where energy goes, human flourishing follows. It's a prerequisite for life on Earth. Most of fungi's life is spent in that mycelial network underground. And in that situation, no one sees it, out of sight, out of mind. However, when conditions are just right, whether it's humidity or temperature or something like that, the mycelial network sends up a mushroom. And in just a couple days, it goes from nothing to a fully mature fruit, releases its spores, little mushroom seeds. Those little mushroom seeds land nearby. Most of them die. However, a few colonize a new territory. They go underground, and the cycle continues. And that same process happens in the Bitcoin hype cycle. Most of Bitcoin's life, we're in a bear market. Out of sight, out of mind. All our friends think we're crazy or stupid. And then when conditions are right, the Bitcoin price starts pumping. Everybody comes back in. It's the hot topic. And just as soon as it goes up, it goes right back down. And most of those new entrants, they get wrecked. And what happens? They leave, they tail between their legs. But a few stay. And those few go down the rabbit hole. They build companies. They help the system. And we go underground again until the next time we're ready for the hype cycle. So in all these research, this is always the favorite story. This is, of course, the slime mold. So an experiment was done where you put a petri dish with a map of Tokyo's subway system. And those little oat flakes, the little subway stations, are the slime mold's favorite food. Then you unleash the slime mold, although technically not a fungi. We're going to adopt them for this talk. The slime mold grows and it finds all the food. And then within about a day, it re-architects the entire network into the most efficient form, just for its own purposes to consume the food. And then they zoomed out and they noticed that the slime mold, the humble slime mold, created a more efficient rail network than the best Japanese engineers. Okay, think about that. How is it possible? And I don't say this to knock the engineers. They're world class. I say this because sometimes a decentralized network outperforms a centralized network. And the reason is the slime mold pushes decision-making to the edge. And at that situation, on the edge of the network, that's where the organism has real feedback with its environment. So each endpoint in this network makes decisions to better themselves. And in the same way, Bitcoin is like that slime mold, and we're all on the edge of the network making decisions. And again, it forms that that aggregate network. So we're essentially on the edge, and what emerges out of that is intelligence. And I think Satoshi understood that. And just like a tree and mycorrhizal fungi form symbiosis, so too must humans form symbiosis with Bitcoin. At an individual level, 21 million, deflationary asset, it teaches us to think long term and to save. And that's a really powerful thing. And in an uncertain world, which it clearly is right now, Bitcoin gives us a sense of hope and optimism. And it's extremely important, especially for young people. And it also forces us, if we choose to self-custody this asset, it forces us to take personal responsibility. And I believe that personal responsibility wake-up call is good for individuals, it's good for our species. What about at the macro level, the big picture? Okay, I think as a species, we should form symbiosis as well. So I'm going to make a case here that fiat money, the monocrop, okay, on that side, Bitcoin's a rainforest. So fiat money, centrally planned, or monocrop, same. Centrally planned, susceptible to disease, unsustainable, extremely efficient, to be fair, extremely efficient, but fragile. Okay, from a fiat standpoint, this offers short-term price stability. We only get debased slowly, yay. But it comes at a high cost, which is that we're susceptible to systemic risks. Think of '08, think of all 1929, et cetera. On the other hand, Bitcoin is more organic. It's more like a rainforest, which means fierce competition, incremental growth, sustainable, and anti-fragile. And in that, from a Bitcoin standpoint, that means we accept short-term price volatility in exchange for long-term systemic stability. And I think that's a better baseline of our financial operating system. And I personally believe Bitcoin is simply an evolutionary strategy found in nature, obviously most similar to fungi. And I believe both individuals and our species would be better off if we formed symbiosis with this digital superorganism that we call Bitcoin. Thank you.
Oh, hi. Do you have your ticket to the next Pacific Bitcoin Festival? Join us as we shine a light on the best of Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. Visit pacificbitcoin.com for the best deal on tickets now.